They say film is forever. But what if forever came with edits no one can trace? In the strange corridors of sci-fi cinema, there exist scenes that feel like glitches in the medium itself, moments that weren't in any script, weren't acknowledged by the cast or crew, and yet somehow appeared in official releases, not in bootlegs, not in fan edits, in real, studio-approved versions. And the weirdest part? No one can explain how they got there. The 1,970 seconds through the 1,990 seconds were a goldmine for experimental science fiction, an era of low budgets, high ambition, and chaotic post-production workflows. Films were shot on the fly, edited in basements, and often passed between hands before ever reaching a projector. Somewhere in that chaos, scenes slipped through, scenes that should have been deleted or never filmed, or, according to some accounts, never existed at all. Over the decades, fans have recalled sequences that aren't on any DVD or streaming copy. Actors swear they don't remember filming them. Editors comb archives and find nothing. Yet someone, somewhere, has the VHS or the memory to prove these scenes were real, or real enough to haunt them. It's tempting to dismiss these anomalies as urban legend. But what do you say when the footage shows up, frame by frame, with real lighting, real actors, and real lines that no one claims to have written? This isn't about deleted scenes. It's not about director's cuts. This is about something far more unsettling. These are the scenes that shouldn't exist, but do. Hasson, The Empty Playground, Phase 4, 1974. In the middle of Phase 4, Saul Bass's haunting tale of intelligent ants overtaking humanity, there's a brief scene that appears, then vanishes in later versions. A playground, eerily empty, swings gently moving, though there's no wind, no ants, no characters, no narration. It lasts under 20 seconds. But for many who watched the original theatrical run, it left a mark, and then it disappeared. When Phase 4 was released on VHS in the early 80 seconds, the scene was gone. Bass never mentioned it in interviews. The screenplay has no reference to it. And when the long-lost original ending surfaced decades later, infamous for its psychedelic human-ant hybrid imagery, the playground shot wasn't part of it either. What's unsettling is that multiple audience members from the film's 1974 premiere recall the same image, an empty slide, a broken tricycle, and a swing that starts, then stops. They assumed it was symbolic, maybe hinting at the disappearance of children. But why remove it completely, especially when the rest of the film remains intact? Some speculate it was an insert shot from another Bass project. Others think it was an editing error left in the first theatrical print. But here's the twist. One collector reportedly found a 16mm reel of the original cut, with the playground intact. But when he tried to digitize it, the film had decayed beyond recovery, except for that one scene, which remained shockingly crisp. A scene no one remembers filming. A moment that doesn't exist in any official record. And yet, there it was. So, who put it there? #2. The Whispering Room. The Black Hole. 1979. The Black Hole was Disney's bold leap into mature sci-fi territory, dark, philosophical, and visually daring. But for decades, fans whispered about a scene that didn't match Disney's sensibilities. A long hallway, dimly lit, where a character hears whispering voices from the walls. There's no action, just Dr. Durant walking alone, reacting to something we never see. He pauses, presses his hand to the wall, and the whispers stop. Cut to black. The music doesn't swell. There's no score at all, just silence. This moment appears in some early VHS copies distributed in Europe, but it's not on the US releases. It's not in the shooting script, and Roddy McDowall, who voiced Vin, claimed he'd never seen or heard the sequence. Disney archivists list no such scene in any production notes. Even stranger, the hallway used doesn't match any known set from the film. Set designers deny ever building it. There's a theory that the footage may have come from an early screen test or mood reel shot by a second unit for tone, then accidentally spliced into certain international cuts. But how does a scene with a lead actor on a constructed set go undocumented? In 2006, a sci-fi forum posted a grainy capture of the sequence from a Spanish TV airing. The thread exploded with confusion. Some called it a hoax. Others uploaded their own taped versions, showing the same eerie moment. To this day, Disney has never acknowledged it. It's not on Disney Plus or Blu-ray. No restoration lists it. And yet, it existed, on air, for years. A room that speaks, a character who listens, a scene that no one officially remembers making. #3. The Window That Vanished. Colossus. The Forbin Project. 1970. In this paranoid thriller about a supercomputer gaining control over humanity, there's a chilling sequence that fans recall vividly: Dr. Forbin watching himself on a surveillance screen. But it's not just a feed. It's wrong. He's not doing what he's doing in the scene. The angle is impossible. The expression isn't his. He stands by a window that doesn't exist in the lab set. Then the footage glitches and cuts away. This moment only appears in certain 1983 television broadcasts. It's absent from all home media, and even the most obsessive restoration experts can't locate a master with that insert shot. Eric Braeden, who played Forbin, denies ever shooting such a scene and insists there was no window in that set at all. Some have suggested it was an alternate scene from a test shoot. Others think it was a late editorial trick to imply Colossus was manipulating reality, not just surveillance. But the lighting is inconsistent with the rest of the film. Even the quality of the image suggests it came from a different stock entirely. In interviews, editor John F. Schreier said he only cut what was in the official script. There were no tricks. The paranoia was the point, he claimed. And yet, the phantom window persists in memory and in a handful of bootlegs taped off air. One even has a brief flicker in the bottom right corner, a broadcast ID from a Chicago affiliate, proving its televised presence. It's the kind of detail you question yourself over. Was it really there, or did the film want you to think it was? Either way, the scene doesn't just reflect surveillance, it reflects something worse, a film watching itself. #4. The Screaming Glass. Saturn III 1980. Saturn III was already infamous for its chaotic production, recast leads, director firings, and tensions between Kirk Douglas and Farrah Fawcett. But there's one scene that no one seems to take credit for, or even acknowledge. A sudden shot of a glass panel shattering in slow motion, with a scream layered in reverse audio. The shot comes midway through certain international VHS releases, sandwiched between scenes that otherwise cut smoothly. There's no dialogue. The panel doesn't belong to any known set. The scream doesn't match any actor in the film. And most disturbingly, the sound mix includes what appears to be reversed, whispering layered under the audio. Stanley Donen, the credited director, once joked in a 1986 interview that Saturn III had scenes I didn't direct and wouldn't claim if I had. When asked about the shattering glass, he dismissed it as fan hallucination. But the image exists. Fans have pulled stills from UK laserdiscs showing the panel mid-explosion, with light refracting unnaturally across the frame. Some argue it's a symbolic insert, representing the robot Hector's fractured consciousness. Others think it was leftover B-roll from a scene that got cut, one that somehow got spliced back in during international mastering. A sound editor, who remained anonymous, once posted on a forum that they found the scream unsettling because it didn't have a clean waveform, like it was created by overlapping two voices, one human, one mechanical. No one knows who recorded it. No one remembers shooting it. And yet it made it into more than one official version of the film. A shattering moment. Literally. But of what? A window? A mind? Or the film itself? #5. The Man in the Tunnel. THX 1138191. George Lucas's dystopian debut is precise, sterile, and heavily controlled, every shot framed with intent, which makes the appearance of the Man in the Tunnel all the more bizarre. In some early 16mm classroom prints used by universities in the 70 seconds, there's a blink and miss moment during THX's escape. As he runs through a narrow corridor, the camera lingers half a second longer, and in the far corner, silhouetted in the shadows, stands a man in a suit and fedora. He doesn't move. He doesn't react. He isn't part of the pursuit. He's just watching. This figure doesn't exist in the original script, not in the theatrical cut, not in the Lucas-approved director's cut from 2004. But professors who screened those early educational reels swear it was there. A ghost in the machinery, a remnant of something else. Lucas has never acknowledged the scene. Walter Murch, the film's sound designer and frequent Lucas collaborator, once said in a panel, "We did experiment with some abstract inserts, but nothing like that. Nothing human." Frame-by-frame analysis of bootleg copies reveals a figure wearing attire far too 1,940 seconds for a futuristic dystopia. Was it an accident? A crew member caught on film? Or an intentional insert meant to break the immersion? Even weirder, In the 2004 DVD, the exact scene is trimmed by half a second, cutting precisely where the man would have been. It's as if the film remembered and erased itself. Who was he? Wrong film, wrong time, still there. #6. The burn sequence. Altered states. 1980. Ken Russell's Altered States is already a fever dream of imagery blurring science and hallucination, but one scene described by multiple early viewers doesn't exist on any known copy. A slow, silent burn sequence showing Eddie Jessup's body catching fire in reverse. It allegedly plays for 10 seconds during a sensory deprivation montage, nestled between flashes of religious and genetic imagery. Eddie lies still, and flames appear not erupting but folding inward, as if time is reversing. His eyes open at the moment of full combustion, then cut to black. This scene is not in the theatrical version, not in any home release, and not in Russell's notes. William Hurt denied filming anything involving fire, and the practical effects team had no record of pyrotechnics that day. But here's the anomaly. An old Betamax tape surfaced in 1997 during a film school archive purge. It was labeled ALTREVBURN. The tape was partially degraded, but several frames matched Hurt's facial structure. Yet the lighting didn't match any known sequence in the film. Some believe it was an FX test never intended for use. Others think it was inserted accidentally during an early cut and then scrubbed. But a few theorists, especially those obsessed with Russell's symbolism, claim the scene represents the death of identity through experimental science and was removed for being too explicit. Still, no one remembers filming it, and no actor admits it ever happened. A man burns but backward, a scene that erases itself as it unfolds. #7. The corridor that wasn't there. Outland. 1981. In Outland, Peter Hyam's grimy space western starring Sean Connery, the layout of the mining station is tight, industrial, and consistent until one scene disrupts everything. Midway through a tense sequence, there's a 5-second shot showing Marshall O'Neill walking down a long, flickering corridor lined with dirty glass panels. The problem? That corridor doesn't appear in any set blueprints. It doesn't connect to any other known location in the film, and it only appears in one version, a 1984 Japanese laserdisc. Hyams, a notoriously meticulous director, said in a 1993 interview that he was obsessed with spatial geography and hated continuity errors. When fans asked about the mystery corridor, he reportedly paused and said, "I didn't shoot that. There's no script reference, no storyboards, no behind-the-scenes photos, and yet the corridor looks finished, lit, dressed, and filmed with a Steadicam." Connery is visible for only a moment, seen in silhouette, carrying his shotgun. Cinematographer Stephen Goldblatt denies shooting the scene. The lighting style, he claims, doesn't match his setup. Some believe it was second-unit footage accidentally left in a mastering cut. Others think it was created post-production for international pacing and was spliced in without director approval. But a few fringe theorists go further. They say the corridor represents a memory or hallucination of a place that never existed, a space between scenes, between edits, between versions of the film. No one remembers building it, no one claims filming it, yet it's there in pristine quality on a format most never watched. A corridor that doesn't go anywhere, except into the question, who added it and why? #8. The Extra Passenger. The Andromeda Strain, 1971. The Andromeda Strain is precise, clinical, and deeply technical. Every character is named, every room cataloged, every process explained, which makes one brief background shot so disturbing. As the scientists move through a decontamination chamber, there's a wide shot where a fifth figure is visible, partially obscured, standing behind a glass panel. He's not wearing a hazmat suit. He's not reacting to the scene. He's just watching. There are only 4 characters in that sequence. Always were. Yet, in the 1973 televised version, broadcast on ABC, the fifth man is unmistakable. The shot doesn't appear in any modern release. Not on Blu-ray, not in director Robert Wise's archive. And when asked in 1995 about the sequence, lead actor James Olsen said, "There was never anyone else on set during that shoot. I'd stake my life on it." But multiple viewers remember seeing the shot during the original airing. Some even described the figure as blinking out just before the cut, like a frame error or deliberate optical trick. When fans pressed Universal for a transfer of the ABC version, they were told no such master exists. Later, a former video engineer anonymously claimed the scene was part of a broadcast-specific alternate reel used to pad the TV runtime. But the figure's presence has no narrative function, no payoff, no explanation. And that's what makes it stick. Not what he does nothing. But the fact that he shouldn't be there, an extra body, an extra set of eyes. In a film about infection, sometimes the most viral element is the one no one accounted for. #9. The Lake Reflection, Starman, 1984. John Carpenter's Starman is one of his gentler films, a melancholic sci-fi romance. But one lakeside scene has ignited decades of quiet debate. As the alien, played by Jeff Bridges, recreates the deer he had just seen shot, there's a brief, shimmering moment on the water, a reflection that doesn't match the action. Instead of showing the deer's form returning, the water reflects something else. A figure, standing alone at the lake's edge, arms raised, as if in invocation. The camera doesn't acknowledge it. No characters react. It's just a reflection. This only appears in some European PAL tapes. In NTSC and Blu-ray editions, the water shot is cropped or trimmed. When Carpenter was asked about the moment in a rare 2001 fan Q&A, he reportedly replied, "That reflection wasn't supposed to be there, but I liked it." No such footage exists in the dailies. The reflection figure doesn't resemble Bridges or Karen Allen. Some speculate it was a crew member caught accidentally. Others believe it was a post-effect gone wrong, like a compositing error from the film's subtle optical work. But a few die-hard fans argue it was intentional, a suggestion that Starman wasn't alone, that something else witnessed his act of resurrection. In interviews, visual effects artist Richard Urasich denied adding anything to the lake scene. "We didn't touch that shot," he said. "That's all Carpenter." Yet the reflection remains unexplained, a haunting presence in the water, visible in only a few frames and only to those who remember. You can't rewind a VHS forever, but some reflections follow you back. #0. The Eyeless Boy. The Omega Man, 1971. Charlton Heston's apocalyptic thriller The Omega Man has a clear visual language, isolation, dread, religious overtone. But one version of the film contains a moment that never appears again and has baffled collectors for decades. Roughly 47 minutes in, a shot pans past a shattered storefront. In the reflection of the glass, there's a boy, pale, unmoving, and eyeless, just empty sockets. He isn't in the scene's reverse angle. The characters never react, and the script makes no mention of a child at all. This eerie image only appears in a single 1982 TV broadcast on a regional affiliate in Oregon. A few VHS tapes exist, degraded but legible, showing exactly 5 seconds of the reflection. Efforts to restore it for DVD were unsuccessful, with Warner Brothers stating, "No such frame exists in the original negative." But it does exist, because fans captured it. And what's worse, the image doesn't look like film. It looks like video. Speculation ranges from editing mishap to urban legend. But one archivist noted the boy's appearance resembles a deleted subplot from I Am Legend, the novel on which the film is based specifically, a mutated child immune to the disease. Was this a test for a sequel? A late-night insert by a rogue editor? Or something else entirely? The reflection shows a figure that wasn't there, in a format the film never used, during a shot no one remembers composing. A ghost? A glitch? Or just a moment meant for someone else's version of the world? #0. The Wrong Voice. Solar Babies, 1986. Solar Babies is often remembered as a chaotic sci-fi mess, full of rewrites, recuts, and tonal confusion. But one anomaly stands out even in that chaos: the voice that doesn't belong. In one early German VHS release, a scene plays out as normal until a single line, spoken by actor Jason Patrick, is heard in a completely different voice. Older, deeper, calm. The line is simple: "We were never meant to find it." But it's not his voice, it's not dubbed, it's not from any other scene. What's chilling is that the audio quality matches the rest of the film. It's not inserted, it's baked in. The actors react as if they heard it, but the voice is uncredited. And in all other versions, the line doesn't exist at all. Some theorize this was a remnant of an earlier version of the script, perhaps with different casting. Others suggest it was an audio placeholder that was never replaced. But in 2010, the film's original editor claimed, That line doesn't exist. We never cut that scene with that line in it. Sound engineers have confirmed the waveform doesn't match any known voice actor involved. Stranger still, the line echoes slightly like it was recorded in a tunnel, not a soundstage. What does it mean? Was it an abandoned plot thread, a mistake no one caught, or something added after the fact by someone no longer on the record? A voice from nowhere, heard once, then gone. Speaking of purpose, in a film that had none, Hasson 2, The Watcher on the Steps, The Quiet Earth, 1985. In this haunting New Zealand sci-fi classic, the world has ended or shifted, and one man may be the last survivor. The tone is quiet, poetic, and surreal, which makes one moment stand out even more. As protagonist Zach Hobson walks past a church late in the film, there's a cutaway to stone steps. Sitting there is a man in priest robes, still, watching, not part of the scene before or after. He doesn't appear again. He's not listed in the credits. And in every modern release, that scene is gone. Only early New Zealand VHS copies from the late 80s contain the shot. Fans describe the man's face as oddly lit, despite the shadows. Others note that Zach slightly hesitates before walking past, as if acknowledging the presence, though the main camera never focuses on the priest again. Director Jeff Murphy was asked about the moment during a 1994 screening. He said, "We didn't shoot anything like that, certainly not with a priest." Crew members from the set also deny ever dressing such a scene, but several frames were preserved in a fan's analog photo series, capturing a still from the TV. The image is unmistakable. The priest looks directly at camera, breaking the fourth wall, just before the shot fades. Thematic? Spiritual? A mistake? No one knows. But it introduces a disturbing idea. That Zach was never truly alone, that something else walked with him, or watched him walk, quietly. Hasson 3. The Bloodless Room, Logan's Run, 1976. In Logan's Run, the world is a pristine dystopia where no one lives past 30, and everything seems clinically perfect. But among fans of early U-matic tape recordings, there's one sequence that breaks the spell entirely. During the carousel execution scene, an alternate cut allegedly shows a different angle, one where the camera pans across an adjacent chamber. There, rows of empty chairs face a blank wall, and the floor is covered in glittering dust. No blood, no bodies, just a faint hum. This version never appeared in theaters, nor on DVD or Blu-ray. It was taped once, during a 1980 late-night UK television broadcast. Since then, only a handful of stills survive, captured from damaged tapes. Director Michael Anderson disavowed the footage, saying, "That's not my scene. That was never part of the film I cut." Even more curiously, art director Dale Hennessy stated the chairs in that room didn't match anything they built. Some theorists propose that the footage was from an alternate opening montage, discarded before release. Others insist the room was a metaphorical insert, never meant for literal interpretation. But here's the twist. One fan, who worked as a projectionist in 1976, claimed he saw that same room in the original test screening, and swore that, just before the scene cut away, the dust on the floor moved. By itself, was it real? A dream sequence? Or a fragment from a different future? A room without blood, but heavy with something worse memory. Hasson 4. The Reversed Arrival, Silent Running, 1972. Douglas Trumbull's environmental space parable, Silent Running, ends with a lone forest pod drifting in the void, watched over by a single robot. But in one version aired just once on Italian television in 1983, the final scene plays in reverse. Literally. The drone moves backward, the stars pull inward, the plants uncurl, the ship reforms, all without music, only ambient noise. The sequence lasts 42 seconds, then cuts to black. There's no explanation. The reversal isn't an editing error. The film stock appears duplicated and flipped with intention. And the reversed scene isn't a simple mirror. It contains small insert shots not seen anywhere else. Trumbull denied authorizing such a version. "That sounds like sabotage," he told a convention audience in 2001. No home release includes it. No restoration project recovered the reverse sequence. Yet a taped copy of the broadcast emerged in 2009. Several Italian fans confirmed seeing the reversed ending as children and assumed it was intentional. One claimed, "It felt like the forest was returning to Earth." I cried. Was it an experiment? A rogue cut for foreign markets? Or an unapproved statement from a technician moved by the film's message? In a film about nature's fragility, This backward moment raises a question. What if the last act of survival was retreat? Hasson 5, The Static Face, The 13th Floor, 1999. Released during the same year as The Matrix, The 13th Floor explored simulated realities and existential recursion. It was slick, high concept, and, some say, haunted by one frame. In a single frame, yes, one captured only on early VCD rips from Asia. The face of a man appears in the static during a transition. He's not part of the cast. His image is grainy, frozen, mid-blink, mouth slightly open. He appears in the transition between two cityscape shots, barely noticeable, but when freeze-framed, the face becomes clear, pale, blurred, unblinking. The official release doesn't contain it. DVD masters omit it. The original editors claimed no such frame exists in any cut they approve, but fan preservationists pulled the frame from multiple sources, always the same face, same expression, same placement. Some dismissed it as a compression glitch, others called it subliminal messaging, but one former marketing technician claimed the VCD masters were prepared using alternate tapes from European sources, where certain edits were made to punch up the surrealism, yet no one knows who the man is. A user once posted a side-by-side comparison, claiming the face resembles Armin Mueller-Stahl, who played a major character in the film but younger, from a different era, perhaps a stock photo, perhaps a test render, perhaps not meant to be seen. But once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, because that face isn't reacting, it's watching. Bonus fact, the missing exit, Dark City, 1998. And before we reach the end, let's talk about a scene so disorienting. Some viewers believe it was never supposed to be found at all. In Dark City, a film already obsessed with memory, architecture, and illusion, one broadcast version from Canadian television includes a quiet insert just before the final confrontation. John Murdoch runs through a spiraling hallway. The camera pans left, and there, for a split second, is a green exit sign, not a stylized one. A modern emergency exit, fluorescent, flickering, and just beneath it, a door with no knob. When slowed down, the shot lasts 16 frames. The lighting doesn't match any other scene. The angle is off. Murdoch doesn't look at it, he just passes. But those who've seen it swear the door pulses, faintly, as if breathing. No official cut contains this shot. Director Alex Proyas denies its existence. "I know every frame of that film," he said in 2004. "There's no green exit. That's not part of the world." And yet, multiple TV-ripped VCDs from the early 2000s preserve the moment. Fans call it the anti-door, a possible symbol of escape the characters are never allowed to take. What makes it worse? When one user tried to extract the frame from his file, his editing software crashed twice at the exact second the exit sign appeared. The file wasn't corrupted. Everything else was fine. A door that doesn't open. A sign pointing to nowhere. A moment meant to be skipped, but not erased. So what do we make of these scenes? Glimpses of something that shouldn't be there, yet somehow is. Are they accidents, forgotten inserts, or whispers from a version of the film we were never meant to see? Maybe cinema doesn't just preserve memory. Maybe it manufactures it. Which of these moments do you believe was real, and which one do you hope wasn't? Tell us below. But remember, some scenes don't wait to be watched.